You already know the story. Single mom, warm, young, little one on her hip, and a voice in the back of your head going, "Careful, she's working you." Sometimes that voice is right, most of the time it isn't. And that voice is exactly why men over 50 lose the good ones and keep the dangerous ones. Because the real play doesn't look like a play, it looks like a good woman. Let me show you how it actually works. Hi, I'm Mayumi. I'm Filipina. I'm in my late 20s, and I answer the questions about us that men are too shy to ask out loud. Today, it's single moms and foreign men over 50. All of it. The part that's unfair to us, and the part that's unfair to you. If you enjoy watching my videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video in the future. Thanks. Okay. Let's start with the version you've already heard because I need to take it apart first. You've read it on the forums. You've heard it from the guy at the bar who's been here 11 years and has a lot of opinions and not a lot of friends. It goes like this. She's 26. She's beautiful. She has a 3-year-old and a story about the father who left. She messages you good morning before you're even awake, and good night after you're already asleep. 6 weeks in, something happens. The little one has a fever. The landlord is knocking, and it's small at first, 1,500 pesos, 2,000. You send it because it's nothing to you and it's everything to her. And the way she says thank you makes you feel like a man again for the first time in about 9 years. Then it's 5,000, then it's the hospital, then it's tuition, then it's a little sari-sari store that's going to change everything if you just help her start it. And one day you add up 18 months of transfers and you feel physically sick, and then she's gone. Or worse, she isn't gone and you catch yourself wishing she was. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that woman doesn't exist. She does. I've met her. I've watched her work up close. And I'll tell you something uncomfortable. She's usually lovely. She's not a monster with a scar. She's warm and funny and she remembers your dog's name and she is very very good at this. But here's the thing that took me years to see clearly, and it's the whole reason I'm making this video. She's not the common one, she's the loud one. She's the one who ends up in the story you heard because nobody tells the story about the single mom who's just tired, who works a 12-hour shift, comes home, helps with homework at 11 at night, and falls asleep in her uniform. That one doesn't get told at the bar. It's not entertaining. So, you've heard about one type of woman 100 times and the other type never, and now you think the first one is the population. And a man walking around this country with that story in his head is not protected. He's just wrong in a different direction because there are two kinds of men who get hurt out here, and everybody only ever warns you about one. The first kind trusts too fast, sends money in week two, proposes in month three. He's a cliche and everyone laughs at him. Fine, you've been warned. The second kind trusts nobody. He's got the checklist, he's got the theories, he treats being asked for anything at all as proof, and he gets hurt too, just slower and quieter. He turns down the woman who'd have loved him for 20 years because she made the mistake of being poor. And then he ends up with the smooth one, the polished one, the one who never asked him for a single peso. Why does she never ask? Think about it for 2 seconds. Because she's better at this than the other one. Remember that. The suspicious man isn't safe. He's just aiming wrong. I'll come back to it. So, let's do the question you actually came here for. Why you? Not you personally. I'm sure you're lovely. I mean, why a man over 50? Why does a 28-year-old single mother in Cebu or Davao or Bacolod look at a 56-year-old man from Manchester or Melbourne or Michigan and feel something real? The internet says it's obvious because he's easy, because he's lonely, because he'll pay. And if you believe that's the whole answer, you're going to misread every single thing that happens after this. So let me give you the actual list. There are four reasons, and only one of them is money. Reason one, you're finished. And I mean that as the highest compliment I know how to give. Your life is built. You're not going to move to Dubai for a contract. You're not going to wake up at 34 and decide you need to find yourself in Thailand. You are, at this point, who you're going to be. There's no more surprise in you. A single mother cannot afford a man who's still becoming. She already bet everything on a man who was becoming. She's racing the result of that bet. She's completely done with potential. Potential is what she got pregnant by. You are the opposite of potential, and you have no idea how attractive that is because back home, it's the thing they call you boring for. Reason two, you're less likely to leave. A man of 30 has options and he knows it, and knowing it changes how he treats her. A man of 56 knows exactly what he's found and how rare it is. That's not romance, that's arithmetic. She's not embarrassed about doing it, and you shouldn't be embarrassed about being the answer. Reason three, and this one matters more than money, and almost no man ever hears about it. You don't punish her for the child. I need you to understand what it's actually like here. This is a Catholic country. A woman with a baby and no ring carries something around with her all the time. Her titas talk, her church talks. The neighbors have a whole opinion. And a lot of Filipino men her age, they'll date her, they'll enjoy her company, they will not marry her, and they will not take her to meet their mother. She's fine for now. She's not for real. And nobody has to say it out loud because she's heard it 1,000 times in the way people go quiet when the kid comes up. I watched a friend of mine tell a guy she'd been seeing for 4 months that she had a son. She'd been carrying it around like a bomb. And he was so nice about it. He said all the right words, and he just slowly over about 3 weeks evaporated. He didn't even break up with her. He just got busy forever, and she wasn't surprised. That's the part that guts me. She wasn't surprised, she was just tired. And then a foreign man shows up who doesn't carry that shame at all. He looks at the child and he doesn't see damaged goods or somebody else's problem. He sees a kid. Sometimes he even sees a chance to be useful. Do you understand what that does to a woman who's been quietly apologizing for her own life for 5 years? That's not a scam, that's oxygen. That's a window opening in a room she thought had no windows. Reason four, yes, money, stability. Let's not be precious about it. You're a grown man. She would like her son to eat. She would like to stop counting coins on the 28th of the month. She'd like to be able to say yes when the school asks for something instead of doing the thing where you laugh and change the subject. Now, here's the mistake almost every man makes with that list. He sees reason 4 and decides reasons 1, 2, and 3 must be fake. That the money cancels the rest out. That if she benefits, she can't also love. That's not how a person works. And it's not how you work either. You liked your ex wife's laugh, and you also liked that she was reliable and had her own car. Both of those were true at the same time, and neither one made the other a lie. Nobody's heart runs on one motive. Not yours, not mine, not hers. So if it's usually not a con, why do so many men over 50 end up feeling con? Here's the answer. And it's the uncomfortable one, so stay with me. Because the real play isn't a play, it's math. And math, done for long enough, starts to look exactly like love from the outside. And I'll tell you something worse. Sometimes it looks like love from the inside, too. Let me tell you about someone. I'm not using her name, and I'm changing enough that she'd never know I told you. She had her son at 20. The father was 22, and he was around for about a year, and then he wasn't. He's got a whole other family now in another province. In 8 years, he has sent her nothing, not 1 peso, not once, not on the boy's birthday. And before you ask, yes, there's a whole law about that. Now go and try to enforce it against a man with no assets, no fixed address, and no payslip, whose cousin works at the barangay hall. Let me know how that goes for you. Tell me how many years it takes and what it costs. She works retail, takes home about 15,000 pesos a month, and that's after 7 years and a promotion. Out of that comes rent, milk, electricity, her mother's maintenance medicine, and her younger brother's tuition. Because that's what the eldest does here. Nobody voted on it. It's just the shape of the family, and she's the load bearing wall. There's a solo parent law here. It's real. It gives her an identification card, a few discounts, some extra leave days if you happen to have the kind of job that has leave days. That's the net. That's the whole net. So she goes to bed every night doing math, not scheming, math. And she's been doing it so long, she doesn't remember there's another way to think about a Tuesday. And then a 58-year-old man messages her, and he's kind, he's steady. He asks about her son by name, and he remembers that the boy is scared of dogs. And he asks about it again a week later without being reminded. He doesn't vanish for 4 days and come back with busy lang. She's not thinking target. I promise you on my life, she's not thinking that. She's thinking one word: safe, now. Is that love or is that need? Can I be honest with you? I don't know. And here's the part that should stop you cold. Neither does she. That's the real answer, and it's the one nobody gives you because it's not satisfying and you can't put it in a thumbnail. It might become love. That happens constantly. Need is how a huge amount of love starts in every country on earth, including yours. Or it might just stay need wearing love's clothes for exactly as long as the money holds out. And you cannot tell which one it is in 6 weeks. You can't. Neither can she. Anybody who tells you they can spot it instantly is selling you a course. But you can tell in a year. And I'm going to show you exactly where to look. So let's walk through how this actually unfolds. Not the forum version, the real one. There are 4 stages, and I've watched it go this way so many times. I could set my watch by it. Stage one, the softening. She doesn't ask for anything, nothing, not a peso. And this is the part that shocks men, so listen. In the first month, a woman running an actual con and a woman falling in love with you look identical because neither of them asks. The con doesn't ask because it's too early and she's a professional. The real one doesn't ask because she's proud and terrified you'll think she's the other one. What she does instead is show you the child, little videos, the boy in his uniform, too big for him, the boy crying about a haircut, the boy asleep in a jeepney with his mouth open. And men misread this completely. Men think the child is the hook. He's not the hook, he's the resume. She's showing you the most disqualifying thing about her on purpose early because she's been rejected for it before and she would rather find out in week 2 than in month 6. That's not a tactic, that's a scar with a camera on it. Stage two, the small test. And this one, you really need something breaks. And she doesn't ask. She mentions, "Ay, the aircon died." Or "the boy needs new shoes. Sayang, they're so expensive now." And then she changes the subject herself quickly. Like she's embarrassed she said it. And then she watches you. Now, every man's instinct is that this is the trap. And sometimes it is. But most of the time, she is not testing whether you'll pay. She's testing whether you'll notice there's a difference, and it's the entire ball game. What she's really asking is this a man who hears me? Because the men in her life didn't. Her son's father didn't. Her boss doesn't. She's been talking into a room with nobody in it for 8 years. And here's the part that will surprise you. If you throw money at it in 9 seconds without one question about her, she learns something about you too. And it's not good. She learns you solve people with your wallet, which means when the wallet's empty, you've got nothing left to hand her. And she's seen exactly what men like that turn into at 68. The right answer to the aircon, by the way, isn't yes and it isn't no. It's how long has it been broken? How are you sleeping? That's it. That's the whole test. Ask the second question. See what happens to her face. Stage three, the merge. This is where the family arrives. And it arrives whether you invited it or not, and it arrives faster than you're ready for. Suddenly, it's not you and her. It's you, her mother, her sister, the boy, and an uncle who has an idea about a business involving a tricycle. Somebody has a wedding. Somebody has a fiesta. Somebody's roof went in the last typhoon. Western men panic right here, and I understand why. It feels like walls closing in. In your country, a family is something you visit twice a year and complain about on the drive home. Here, it's the operating system. But read this correctly, because if you read it wrong, you'll burn down something good. We have a thing called utang na loob. People translate it as debt of gratitude. And that translation is terrible. It makes it sound like an invoice. It's not a debt with a amount on it. It's more like this. You're permanently woven to the people who carried you, and you carry them, and nobody keeps score because the score never stops. It's not transactional. It's closer to a spine. You don't get to opt out of your spine. Is it sometimes used against you? Absolutely. Some families look at a foreign man and see a faucet. That's real. I'm not defending it, and I've watched it happen to people I like. But here's the tell, and I want you to write this one down. A real family wants you at the table. A pipeline wants you at the machine. If they want your presence more than your money, you're fine. If they want you there at Christmas, if the mother is asking you nosy questions about your health, if the uncle wants to argue with you about basketball, you're fine. That's a family. They're absorbing you. It's uncomfortable, and it's a good sign. But if you have met the uncle's business plan and you have not met the uncle, you're not in a family. You're in a queue. Stage four, the fork, somewhere around month 8, month 12, this quietly becomes one of two things. It becomes a relationship, or it becomes an arrangement. And I'd say 95 men out of 100 never notice the day it happened. There is one question that tells you which side of the fork you're standing on. One question. And I'm going to give it to you before this video's over because it's the single most useful thing I know about this entire subject. And I promise you, it is not what you think it is. Okay, quick little pause before the next part. If this is helping you, it would mean so much to me if you tap that like button. and hit subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps my channel grow and it makes sure you won't miss the next video. Thank you, really. Now, let me tell you the part that most men get wrong. Here it is. You're running a play to. I said I'd be honest with you, so gently sit with me for a second. Don't turn it off. The man over 50 who says, "Look, I just want a loyal woman who appreciates a man. That's all I want." Is that so much to ask? Sir, you flew 10,000 kilometers to a country where a woman earns in a month what you'd spend on a decent dinner and a bottle of wine, looking for a woman half your age who has a specific structural economic reason to need you. That's not an accident, that's not fate. That's a strategy. You may never have said it out loud, even to yourself, especially to yourself, but you chose this bond on purpose, for a reason, and the child is often part of the appeal. Come on, let's just say it, being needed, being the one who fixed it, getting to be a father again, or for the first time, and arriving after the hard part is over with gifts as the good news. Never the disciplinarian, never the one who says no, always the rescue. And I want to be clear, I'm not calling you a bad man. I mean that needing to be needed is the most human thing there is. Men your age spent 30 years being useful, being the one who handled it, and then one day the kids were grown and the company thanked you and nobody needed you for anything at all, and that nearly killed you. Nobody talks about that. I get it. But here's why I'm saying it out loud. If you're both running a play and neither of you will admit it, you don't have a relationship. You have two lies that happen to fit together very nicely. And that holds up beautifully for about 3 years. Then the money tightens, or your health does, or the boy turns 13 and starts having opinions about you, and suddenly the two lies don't fit anymore. And neither of you can talk about what's wrong. Because to talk about it, you'd have to start by admitting what you were doing this whole time. So instead, you get cruel. Both of you, small and cruel, in a kitchen, about nothing, and you both walk away absolutely certain that you were the one who got used. I've watched that ending more times than I want to tell you. And the worst part is there's no villain in it. Nobody did anything wrong on any particular day. That's what makes it so sad. So, no. The question is not, is she using me? That's a child's question, and it's got a child's answer. The real question is, do we both actually know what we're doing here? Because two people who are honest about their motives can build something enormous. Two people pretending they don't have any motives cannot build anything at all. Now, I don't want you walking away from this going, right, avoid single moms, Mayumi said so. Please don't. That's lazy and it will cost you the best woman you were ever going to meet. Because here's my loop from the beginning, and I'm closing it now. The suspicious man isn't safe. He's just aiming wrong. He's paranoid about the tired woman with the calloused hands who would have loved him for 20 years, and he's completely relaxed around the smooth one because the smooth one never asked him for anything. And he thinks that's what safety feels like. So forget the category. A single mom is not a red flag. Being a single mom is a fact about her life. The way being 56 is a fact about yours. Watch behavior instead. Here's what I actually look at. Flag one, the curve. It's not that she asks. Everybody asks. Eventually, everybody in a real life eventually needs something. It's the shape of it. Real life is lumpy. Real emergencies are random and stupid and badly timed. The phone dies in March, nothing in April, May, June, a tooth in July. Then nothing until the boy loses his glasses in November. That's a real life. It has no pattern because life has no pattern. A play is a graph. It goes up and to the right. And notice the story gets more urgent as the number gets bigger. It has to plot it on paper and it looks like a business because it is one. Flag two, you never really meet the child. You've met him once on camera, waving, adorable, and then sort of off stage. Listen to me. A real mother's entire life is that kid. He should be constantly ruining your video calls, shouting in the background. She should be distracted, apologizing, half listening because he's climbing the shelf again. She should be mildly annoyed at both of you. If the child is neat and scheduled and always conveniently asleep, ask yourself who's actually raising that boy. A child isn't an accessory you take out for calls. He's a hurricane. No hurricane. Something's wrong with the story. Flag three. She's never annoyed with you. Never disagrees. Never has a bad day at you. Never says, not tonight, I'm exhausted. Never tells you that shirt is ugly. And men love this. Men come here specifically for this. And I'm telling you, it's the worst sign on the entire list. Because that's not devotion, that's customer service. Real affection includes irritation. It has to. A woman who loves you is eventually going to find you annoying because you are annoying. Everyone is annoying. I'm annoying. If she's still perfectly sweet at month 14, she's not relaxed with you, she's at work. Flag 4, the family arrives before you do. I covered this business plan before the uncle equals a queue, not a family. Flag 5. She has no life that isn't you. Ask her what she'd be doing next year if you had never messaged her. If she has a real answer, even a small sad one, even probably the same thing, probably still at the store, good. That's a person with a floor. If the answer is, I have nothing, you're my everything, without you, I'm nobody, and your chest goes warm at that, please be careful. That's not romance. That's a woman with no floor, and a woman with no floor holds on to whatever's holding her, and that has nothing to do with you personally. That's not love, it's gravity. Flag 6, and let me flip this one because it's a good sign and nobody mentions it. Watch for the woman who says no to money. You'd be surprised how often it happens. There's a lot of pride here, especially in women who've been carrying it alone with nobody clapping. Some of them get sharp with you if you offer too fast because it feels like being told what you are, what you look like from the outside. So if a woman ever gets prickly when you try to pay, don't be offended. Pay attention. You just learned something very good about her for free. Okay. The fork. I promise you the question. Here it is. When was the last time she asked you for something that costs nothing? That's it. That's the whole test. Sit with it a second. A woman who's in a relationship with you asks for things with no price on them constantly. She asks for your time. She asks what you think about her sister's boyfriend. She wants you to call at a weird hour because she can't sleep. She asks about your day, the boring parts, the meeting that went badly. She asks you to explain something you love that she doesn't care about because you love it. She asks you to stay on the phone and not say anything. She wants your attention, your opinion, your presence, your dumb stories. A woman in an arrangement never asks for those. She'll receive them politely. She's not rude about it, but she never reaches for them because they aren't the product. And here's the beauty of this test and why I trust it more than anything else. Money is easy to give. If you have it, sending it costs you nothing but the money. But attention is expensive. Time is expensive. Being bored on a phone call with someone at 1 in the morning is expensive. So watch what she wants when there is nothing in it for her. Not what she says, what she reaches for. If she only ever reaches for the things with the price tag on them, you're standing on the arrangement side of the fork. And look, you can still choose that, but choose it with your eyes open. Which brings me to the thing that will annoy some people in the comments. The arrangement is not automatically evil. Some men over 50 want exactly that, and they know it. Company, care, a warm house, someone who's there when you get home, and they'll fund the whole life for it. Some women want exactly that too: safety, a future for their kids, sleep, and they'll build a real home for it. Two adults, eyes open, saying the true sentence out loud. I've seen that work. Better than plenty of so called love matches back in your country. There's a strange honesty in it. Nobody's lying, so nobody can be betrayed. The tragedy isn't the arrangement. The tragedy is the man who thinks he was chosen for his soul, and the woman who thinks she found a family, and neither of them ever says the true sentence. And 5 years later, there are two strangers being very polite to each other in a house in Cavite. Say the words, whatever they are, just say them. And one more thing, and this one's the most expensive thing in this whole video, so please don't skip out on me now. Ask her if she's married. Not, were you married? Are you married? Right now, today. We don't have divorce here, and I'm not a lawyer. This is just my life and what I've watched happen to people I know. But a woman can have walked away from a man 10 years ago. He can have a whole other family up in Cagayan by now, and she is still legally, on paper, his wife. And she's not lying when she says she's single. She might not even think it's relevant because in her heart it ended a decade ago and everyone she knows treats it that way. It's not a secret. It's just not a live thing in her mind. But it's real, it's expensive, it takes years to undo, and men find out at the worst possible moment, usually with a ring already bought. So ask early, ask kindly, then go talk to an actual lawyer here, not to me, and definitely not to the guy in the forum. So, what does the real thing look like? Because I don't want to leave you scared. I really don't. It's boring. I'm sorry. It's boring. Real looks like this. She's tired. She doesn't reply for 9 hours because the boy had a fever and she fell asleep in her clothes on the floor next to him. She forgets to say good morning and doesn't apologize for it. She has an opinion about your shirt and it's not a kind one. She says no. She gets annoyed with you about something small and stupid like how you chew, and you have a real argument about it, and afterwards you both somehow feel closer. She wants you to meet her mother, and her mother will not like you at first. Her mother will be cool with you for about a year because her mother's watched her get hurt before. Her mother isn't stupid, and her mother has done the same math you have and reached different conclusions. She asks about your kids back home by name repeatedly, which is going to be uncomfortable for you, and that's the point. Real doesn't feel like being rescued, it feels like being included, which is a lot less exciting and lasts about 40 years longer. If it feels like a movie, be careful. If it feels like a Tuesday, you might be home. I told you at the start that the real play doesn't look like a play. Here's what I meant. The most expensive thing that happens to men over 50 out here isn't a woman with a made up sick child and a graph. It's a man who never asked himself one honest question and never asked her one either, who just enjoyed how it felt to be adored and paid for it monthly and called it love. And nobody stole anything from him. He handed it over slowly, willingly, in exchange for not having to look too closely at anything. That's the play. It was never hers. It's the one you run on yourself. So look, that's all I'm asking. Look at the curve. Look at whether that child is actually real in her daily life. Look at whether she's ever irritated with you. Look at what she reaches for when there's nothing to gain. And be exactly as honest about your own reasons as you want her to be about hers. You went looking for something, you know what it was, say it. If you can say your true sentence out loud and she can say hers, you've got a real shot at the actual thing. And the actual thing here is very, very good. I've seen it. Men who arrived half dead and ended up with a family who'd put themselves in front of a bus for them, grandchildren, a whole loud house. That's not a fairy tale. That exists. Just don't buy the fairy tale version. Buy the Tuesday. Next time, I want to talk about her mother. Because everybody's watching the girl. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to know how this ends, watch the mother. She already knows. Before you go, if you enjoyed this and it helped you, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what I share next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.